Now at 11, organizers claim No Kings protests are among the largest in American history.
These things are kind of building up to create some kind of larger political momentum.
Experts weigh in on the long-term effects. Plus, ongoing uncertainty among TSA workers, even as they're set to get paid starting Monday.
Okay, as civil servants, we're red, white, and blue. We don't want to be caught up in partisan fights.
And how one nonprofit is getting a head start on the celebrations before the world recognizes Transgender Day of Visibility.
A day to celebrate being trans when it is kind of hard to be a trans American right now.
Saturday's nationwide No Kings protests, with more than 3,300 organized rallies worldwide, had an estimated attendance in the millions. And while those numbers are certainly impressive, it begs the question, do these rallies actually spark change? Thanks so much for joining us here at 11. I'm John Adams. Our Jake Holter spoke with a Portland sociologist and political analyst about the recent rally.
I spoke with Portland sociologist Randall Blazak, who says that it isn't the protest itself that makes change, but the building of community at those protests that can move the needle.
We've seen it here in this country in the past 100 years, how social activism has changed things.
Tens of thousands of people marching through Portland and across Oregon Saturday as part of the national No Kings rally. And those rallies only seem to be getting bigger.
There's this momentum that's building from folks who are kind of outside the mainstream of political activism.
Randall Blazak is a sociologist and co-founder of Cure PNW, a group aimed at de-escalating political violence. He says the large-scale turnout at the No Kings rallies has signaled that more people are becoming politically activated.
The quintessential soccer moms, the people who are kind of outside the framework of activism, are recognizing that this thing that they care about, American democracy, is in peril, and so there's an opportunity to act. So it does move the needle because it creates something that looks more like a mass resistance.
Blazak says he sees parallels between the No Kings rallies and 2020's Black Lives Matter rallies in the call to action for change. The difference being the No Kings rallies have a much wider range of issues to get people involved. And when they do get involved, Blazak says that's when the change can happen.
Protest in of itself isn't resistance. What it does, it lays the groundwork for building what we would call community capacity. We are in a culture that's very isolated. We spend so much time on our phones and streaming and not really connecting with our neighbors. This gets people out of the house and building those networks.
Jake Holter, KGW News.
It takes this kind of sense of frustration, anger, or a lot of emotions that people might be feeling individually, and it gives them an opportunity to come together collectively.
We also spoke with Chandler James, who's an assistant professor of political science with the University of Oregon, about the No Kings events this weekend. James says momentum appears to be building since the last No Kings event in October, as discontent has grown around the activities of ICE agents and the U.S. becoming involved in the war in Iran. With this being a midterm election year, James believes politicians from both sides of the aisle that will be on the ballot are paying attention to the message being sent at these rallies.
You have to take seriously the fact that 8 million Americans took time out of their Saturday to go protest.
According to estimates, attendance grew from about 7 million people attending the protests in October to 8 million people this weekend. An update to breaking news from last night. Portland police arrested 3 people Saturday evening after another demonstration outside the ICE facility on the South Waterfront. The Bureau says after the main No Kings rally, a separate group gathered at Elizabeth Carruthers Park and marched toward the facility. Police declared an unlawful assembly just after 10 o'clock. They say throughout the night, protesters damaged the ICE facility's gate and threw rocks at officers trying to contain the crowd. The 3 were arrested on charges of criminal mischief and trespassing. Okay, time to shift gears and talk weather. Let's take a live look outside right now, where we saw a much cloudier afternoon with some rain showers mixed in to end our weekend. Corey Johnson is joining us now with more on how we're going to start the work week. Hi, Corey.
Hey, John, good evening. Honestly, we're going to start the work week a bit cloudy. We will stay a little bit dry, but it's going to be short-lived. Taking a look from our Rose City camera this evening, 42 degrees, partially cloudy out there and a nice northwest breeze. We are in the mid to low 40s across many stretches this evening. 41 right now in Scappoose. Looks like 40 over in Hillsboro, 41 in Forest Grove. And zooming out for you, it is going to be a chilly night overall, bumping down into the mid 30s, so we could be waking up with some frost tomorrow morning. But current temperatures 46 in Pendleton, the same for the Dalles, looks like the same in Yakima, and then upper 30s near the northern Oregon coast. A look at radar right now, we're not active anymore like we were earlier today, where we just saw some light sprinkles that were pretty widespread. What we do have sticking around at this time, mainly around Bissell, Dodge, and Estacada, but even that will clear out within the next, I'd say, hour or two. Looking live near the coast, our Visit Seaside camera, beautiful 30-degree night tonight. Our hour-by-hour temperatures, as I mentioned, bumping down to freezing. We're not done with the rain yet. By midweek, a stronger system moves in. I'll tell you all about it coming up.
All right, Corey, thanks so much. New tonight out of Hillsboro, police are investigating a shooting involving juveniles that left 2 people hurt. It happened out at the Airplane home off of Southwest Holly Hill Road. If you aren't aware, it's a Boeing jet that's been converted into a home that also doubles as an event space. Police have not released many details, just that it happened Saturday night during a party at the Airplane home. 2 people have been detained. The 2 people shot are expected to survive. No word on how the juveniles were involved. Portland police are investigating what appears to be a deadly shooting in the Sunderland neighborhood. Officers were called shortly before midnight Friday night to the Plaid Pantry at Northeast Columbia and 60th. There they found a man who was pronounced dead on scene with what they believe is a gunshot wound. Police ask any witnesses with information to reach out. To the war in Iran, with that country's leader saying today it is ready to face U.S. troops on the ground. At the same time, they accused Washington of secretly planning an assault while seeking negotiations to end the war. That claim by Iran's parliament speaker came hours after the Washington Post reported that the Pentagon has drawn up plans for weeks of ground operations short of full-scale invasion. NBC News has not confirmed that reporting. Meanwhile, President Trump and key White House figures signal they want to soon draw the conflict to a close.
So I think we've had regime change. I mean, you can't do much better than that. The regime that was really bad, really evil was the first one. That was done. The second was appointed, and they're gone. They're all dead, other than one who may have a little life. And then there really are the third group, and the third group of people that seem to be much more reasonable.
CENTCOM said Saturday that thousands of American soldiers had arrived in the Middle East, listing transport and strike fighter aircraft as well as amphibious assault and tactical assets among the military assets in the region. 13 U.S. service members have been killed during the war and 2 more have died of non-combat causes. The ongoing conflict continues to impact oil and gas pricing. Gas has jumped by 46 cents over the past 2 weeks. The national average price for a gallon of regular gas now sits at $4.06. That's up by more than $1 in the past 5 weeks and 90 cents more than what the price was 1 year ago. According to the Lundberg survey, gas prices could reach as high as $5.25 per gallon in April, given the ongoing war in Iran and petroleum supply conditions. In air travel news, TSA agents will begin getting paid tomorrow. President Trump signed an executive order last week that would allow them to get paid despite the partial government shutdown. But that may not be enough to ease the long security lines at airports. Jen Sullivan explains why.
Frustrated passengers waiting in long security lines at airports across the country as busy spring travel is underway.
All the way down, all the way to the other side.
At Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, some passengers say they arrived well before their domestic flight Sunday morning.
My flight's at 9:47.
And what time did you get here?
I just got here at 6 o'clock.
The long lines at airports are due to staffing shortages. TSA agents have gone without pay for 6 weeks as Congress holds up funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Many TSA agents are calling out because they're struggling to afford things like gas and childcare.
It is like a hostage situation because we're not being paid.
President Donald Trump signed an executive order Friday that would allow TSA agents to start being paid Monday despite the partial government shutdown. But it could take a while for agents to actually receive that money.
Just like last time, it took some people a couple months to finally get their time card corrected and get finally paid.
A DHS spokesperson says more than 500 TSA agents have quit since the partial shutdown began February 14th, and thousands have called out. The nationwide shortfall in airport security staff could mean continued long lines for passengers.
It depends how many TSA agents come back to work, how many TSA agents have actually quit and have no plan coming back to work.
In a controversial move, the White House sent Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents to various airports this past week, but it's unclear whether that made things better. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
And it's also unclear how long DHS will be able to pay TSA workers if Congress doesn't agree to fully fund the agency through the rest of the fiscal year. Well, check this out. It's a celebration of transgender people by transgender people for transgender people and beyond. Today, local nonprofit Work Together is holding a 3-part party called Transtown PDX. The first 2 events were held at the Red, starting with a trans marketplace and resource fair that was free for all to attend. They had more than 36 different queer and trans groups represented, including vendors, entrepreneurs, and various service providers. It's the group's first time ever holding this kind of celebration.
It is kind of hard to be a trans American right now. So this is such an important time to just be joyful and celebrate each other and be in community. I was talking to somebody earlier and they were like, usually I have social anxiety, but today, this room, I don't. I feel safe and I feel comfortable. And that was just a really great thing to hear. And that's what this is all about, just a space where trans people get to be trans people.
The marketplace was followed by an evening fundraiser and then a drag and dance party. And a reminder, International Transgender Day of Visibility is coming this Tuesday.